I'm not just talking shit on online coaching, but the thing that I've learned with the online coaching I've done is how to be more concise with my words, right? I learned how to turn an index finger into someone's obliques into a, pointed 3 sentences of what they need to do to figure out how to brace their core. Like it works both ways, but I don't think you're able to fully refine that skill of verbalizing something if you don't have that in-person touch point, right? That face-to-face touch point. That makes it so much easier to be like, all right, why did I poke him? Okay, I wanted him to tense this muscle. Can I just tell him to poke himself? Like, yeah, I'm just gonna fucking do that. Like put your hands into your stomach and then push out with your stomach muscles. That's core bracing. Sick. We learned it. We did it. But if I don't have that reference point of, oh, like I could just poke him and it'll do it, then I have to figure out, with the context of like, oh fuck, like how do I get someone to understand what proprioception is over a text message? So it does go both ways, and there is a benefit to be had from both of these, but I do think there is an order to the way it has that it has to go, and I think there's so much that you get from being in person with someone that takes so much guesswork out of it when you're not in person with someone, and that's like another. I like where this conversation is going, but like another point that I'll make is the people that I work with online. At this point, every single one of them is someone that I've worked with in person for a period of time, right? So it's someone that I was able to build, an athlete coach dialogue with. Is that when I say this, it means that, which is like, yes, it's especially, people in the prescript community, everyone's very caught up on the language. And I think it is important. But the caveat to that is every coach is going to have different language and a different vernacular and different jargon around what they do. Like you and me probably say different things to our client, even though we mean similar things. And I'm sure neither of them is wrong, but we're going to say it in a different way. And that's a communication that I like to build with the client. It's the same thing. Like, now me poking them with one finger is me saying core. Like I've just replaced this with one word. Right. And they know exactly what I mean when I say that. So it's like you can build that communication, you can build that relationship with them in person. But then at the same time there's an understanding of what they need to execute on. In-person training is education, right? In most cases, there's going to be people that, they just want to sit on the leg extension and then they get really confused when their legs hurt for no reason. Like, why did this happen? And those people, they're probably not going to get much education out of the session. But once you get to that point where you can more select your clientele and you have people that you enjoy working with and you have people that it is a good dialogue, like they should be pretty engaged in the process, especially if they're with you for a period of time. Like if someone trains with you for a year, maybe you can go through a year and they're just as dumb as when they started, but probably not. Probably somehow they're going to residually learn something even if they don't want to. Right? So they're going to build that knowledge base so that then they're better equipped to train online because they have an understanding of what all of these things are that they've been doing. And once you've trained someone for a period of time, then it becomes much, much easier to just give them a list of things to do and them execute well on those things because you've already taken care of all the things that they were doing wrong. And that's like, to me, how this should progress is like, if you want to grow your business as a trainer, first, you have to prove to yourself that you belong as a trainer and you're good at a trainer, and you have to make yourself busy in person. Then you have to get frustrated enough to want to buy your time back. Then you have to ask people for more money so that you have less clients that pay you more because you're good at your job. And from there, then you have to get out of or distance yourself from in person, right? We were just talking about this before we started recordings, that there has to be a point where you step away and you can still make money if you're not in the gym telling someone to brace their core or poking them in the stomach, right? And that's like the next evolution of business, which it sounds like you're really doubling down on right now. So why don't you tell me how that's been for you and how that transition looks?
Yeah. So I was just thinking too, just before I talk about myself, which I hate doing, I just want to add to what you're saying,
Yeah.
which like not only from an online coaching perspective is having that in-person touch point with that client first going to be helpful for the quality of service you provide and the results they get, but like it's also just a more sustainable model for especially a lot of the coaches that we work with for them building an online business. Like you don't have to have a large, Instagram following or social media following. If you do a large volume of in-person clients, you can transition them online.
Yeah.
Over the course of 3 or 4 or 5 years, like you should be able to start to build an online business just based off of clients that train with you for a bit, and like maybe they didn't want to have the long-term like financial commitment, but they want to train on their own. They trust you and they like your programming, and or maybe they move, whatever it is. It's like we can start to build a system where we can funnel them into an online business, and then now we've had that in-person touch point as well. So now like they know our language, we know them well, we know their strengths and weaknesses, and whatever bullshit they carry with them, and we can coach them better. So like we're going to have clients that get better results online, and we're also going to have a system of building an online business without being dependent on posting on social media all the time, or building a social media following.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's such a good point. It's so sustainable too. That's the best way to buy your time back, because now you take someone that, say someone's training with you 3 times a week. That's 3 hours a week that you're spending with them, 12 hours a month, plus whatever time there is on either end for like programming or like admin shit with that. And you put them online, and maybe you can manage them in, I don't know, if you're efficient, 30 minutes out of the month, like an hour out of the month. So that's like, okay, you're trading 12 hours for one. And yeah, the price point's not going to be the same. But the thing about online coaching is that you're probably charging a higher dollar per hour rate than you would be in person, right? If you're charging $70, $80 in person, yes, maybe you're making, I don't know, 12, what's that, 800, 160, 960 a month for 12 sessions off that person. Maybe you charge them $300 a month online, right? But for a 12th of the work, right? That math works out really well in your favor.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So then you just bring on a new client in person at a higher dollar per hour rate, and you do the process again.
Yeah, that's we should just end the podcast there.
All right. Fuck you guys for that.
No.
Just kidding.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great way to look at it. That's basically what I'm currently doing,
Yeah.
If we want to get into that. I don't even know how to get into that. I'm just posting on social media more, like, because I already have, I've been doing online coaching for 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I just never made a huge attempt to push for it, because I wanted to prioritize my in-person work, and like the idea of sitting in a coffee shop all week long makes me want to kill myself. So I never want that for myself. Yeah. But like, especially with all the stuff we do, like down in Tampa, and I'm doing more work with like my own personal athletes as well. And like, I just want to have more flexibility to, do cool stuff with them, as opposed to being like, tied down working 50 sessions a week in the gym every month for years on end. So yeah, just making a bit of a push to like market myself better, and create like social media content that's more digestible for people that I'm trying to market towards. Which I guess is like another conversation we could get into, and a conversation I've been having with other coaches a lot in the past couple of weeks is like there's always like the thing of like, know exactly who you're speaking to when you make a post. Like, pick that one person. And I don't think that's always like the best way to look at it. Because whenever I heard that, I was like, that's so cringy to me. I don't want to sit down and like pick one person. But I think if we went through like our client roster, we could easily, create groups of people. Like maybe we have 3 different groups. We have like aging gen pop. We have, I don't know, people dealing with injuries. And then we have like people that want to get jacked or shredded or lose weight, like whatever that is. And we could probably create some overlap between those two as far as like, topics go. And now like when we create a topic, we just know exactly which of those groups that we're talking to. Maybe it is the longevity crowd. Maybe it is the weight loss crowd. Maybe it's, like functional movement, which is something that could apply to, bodybuilders who are in pain, old people who are in pain, or young people who are in pain, or whatever you look at it, and we can create subgroups and then overlap, and then like we could probably pretty easily start to think about what kind of questions they start to ask us throughout the week or throughout the month, and create topics to discuss. And you're nodding your head because I'm sure it's exactly kind of how you think about it as well when you're like creating topics. It's, what do I get asked the most? And then it's, okay, now who am I talking to? It isn't necessarily that specific person, but it's like, if we have one client, we probably have like 3 or 4 more clients that are very similar to them. And now that's like a group of people that are going to probably be, drawn to the same stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think it in almost the exact same way. And it is like sometimes it is talking to one person, but it's not like, I'm talking to you, Nick Ridpath. I'm talking to a mentality that I see commonly in a lot of people that I probably have one person present in my mind as it comes to. And it makes it easier to have that conversation. I think if it's like, all right, this is one of my athletes that keeps coming in, and I've had this problem with like Gen Pop weightlifters since day one. It's the people that just go fucking hard on everything that they do. And they lift hard as fuck and they're super bought in and they eat 1,000,000 grams of protein in the day. And then the weekend comes around, they drink 1,000,000 fucking beers because they go hard on everything that they do. And then they come in on Monday and they go hard as fuck and they get hurt or like they don't perform that they want to. And it's like, yeah, I've seen this person on repeat. Like I've seen this person 100 different times. And it's like, I'm going to talk to the mentality of this person because I know I'm going to see this person again. And like the majority of the things that are meaningful enough for me to sit down in front of a camera in my office alone and talk to the camera like a fucking idiot and then put on the internet like a fucking idiot. If it's that meaningful for me to do, like it's something that has frustrated me enough that I don't want to have this conversation face to face with another person. So I want to say it to all of the people that are that person at once. And that's like for me where it comes from is like, I know I'm going to have this conversation 100 times, so I'm just going to have it this one time and then send it to this person next time.